When you have a large chunk of the population having the ability to work, and regardless if they work overseas or they work here, as long as they bring back the money in the Philippines, it creates a large push towards consumption. And I've been saying this over and over. My style also for the Philippine stock market is just to look at the Philippines as a consumption-driven economy. At the end of the day, no matter how high inflation is, no matter how high oil prices are, no matter how high the dollar is, Filipinos will spend. We are not a save-first economy. We are not an invest-first economy. We are not also an exporting economy. When Filipinos get money, it makes sense to all of them to actually spend. Hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk about what sectors, what areas could you actually concentrate in that, in my opinion, when you look at the Philippine economy, they will still do very, very well. And in turn, you can get somehow value or growth in companies that are attached to them or in companies that have exposure to these fronts as well. And that has been my style in over a decade of investing in the stock market. I look at macroeconomic trends, I look at the economy, and I figure out where is the money headed. As the money's headed there, who are the companies that will take advantage of what's going on? Or also, when you look at it from a negative point of view, which are the things that may be negative for the economy and which are the companies that will be affected in that? Because if they will be affected because of what's going on, also, in turn, they may have lesser sales. And of course, lesser sales means also a lower bottom line. If you are a dividend investor, lower bottom lines also means that they may give out also lower dividends. And I've said this over and over in the past videos that things that appear negative, at least from an economic standpoint, is that inflation is high. Of course, there are other countries that are higher than us, but the higher things are, you will also see it trickle down on the spending power of businesses. You will see it trickle down on the spending power also of individuals, that their money will be actually buying less from the cash that they actually have. And of course, as you all know, this is something that's happening globally, and I've made videos about this, that gas prices are also higher. As we're using dollars to pay gas, then it becomes even more painful. High dollar, high gas, and in all of that also, think about it, when costs to operate are higher, where do businesses transfer the cost? It goes back to the consumer, and in turn also will also create more pressure for inflation to get higher as well. That being said, I want to say this over and over, and I've said this also in different videos, that when there are sectors that are losing, there are sectors also that will be winning. And this has been a very, very consistent theme, at least for the Philippine economy, and nothing much has changed. The Philippine economy is young. The population is very, very young. It's dynamic, and we have entered also the demographic sweet spot, that we have a large chunk of our population that's not just young, but they're actually employed, they're productive, and they're actually making money. That being said, when countries have entered the demographic sweet spot, you can look at studies on how it happened in Japan or China and South Korea, when their population hit scale, when a larger chunk of people were not just able, but they had the ability to work. When you have a large chunk of the population having the ability to work, and regardless if they work overseas or they work here, as long as they bring back the money in the Philippines, it creates a large push towards consumption. And I've been saying this over and over. My style also for the Philippine stock market is just to look at the Philippines as a consumption-driven economy. At the end of the day, no matter how high inflation is, no matter how high oil prices are, no matter how high the dollar is, Filipinos will spend. We are not a save-first economy. We are not an invest-first economy. We are not also an exporting economy. When Filipinos get money, it makes sense to all of them to actually spend. Comment below if you've seen it from your relatives, from your friends, from family members, or even yourself, that the money has not arrived yet. You're already thinking about how to spend it. Or your bonus has not arrived yet. Your 13th month pay has not arrived yet, but you're thinking already, how are you supposed to actually spend it? That's how it works. People spend a lot of money, and chances are when people spend, inflation is high, what they're spending will be relatively selective. For some who are just barely getting by, they will be paying for their needs. When they're paying for their needs, also, there are some companies that are highly connected to people's needs, like Pure Gold. People will still need to go to the supermarket in spite of high gas prices, in spite of high inflation. People who have been buying Century Tuna, people who have been buying canned goods, people who have been buying Lucky Me, people who have been buying products of Universal Robina Corporation, like their coffee or their chips, they'll still continue to buy that over and over and over, especially for items that are not so expensive. So even though there will be people who will be financially hit, there are businesses that are connected to what people need that will still be part of it as well, that will still have revenue as well. And I've said this over and over in a lot of the videos that I created. If you look at how Meralco is, the business model of Meralco, you look at the business model also of how Globe and PLDT is. Majority of their services or what they're actually producing and doing, people will need to actually pay for because they're considered needs. So even in a high inflation environment, there will be companies, there will be businesses that will continue to make money. So if you are the type of person that wants to look at it from a safe perspective, go for the companies that are relatively defensive in a way that by your analysis you believe that they'll continue to have sales because what they offer are things that people actually need. So what am I saying here? Look at the demographic sweet spot, that we have a lot of Filipinos that are very, very young, but not just young, but have the ability to make money. And because of that, they are spending a lot, and it further pushes our consumption-driven economy. Now, that being said, one of the things that I've been following also for the longest time is OFW remittances, which is about $35 billion US, and the BPO industry. So if you look at it also, a lot of the people who are working at the BPO industry, they're normally young. And the reason why I say that, since they're normally young, people who are working in the BPO industry normally earn more. They earn actually higher than other industries or other sectors. These are the people also that, since they're young and they're earning actually higher, they have the ability to be able to spend more, spend on their wants. When I was younger, especially when I was in high school, going to Starbucks was considered a very, very, very massive luxury, that you're considered social if you're going to Starbucks. But now, if you notice it also, particularly because the middle class also has expanded and because of the BPOs that are actually earning more, they're the ones who are going to the coffee shops, they're the ones who are eating out in restaurants, they're the ones who are spending more on things that are considered wants. And if you try to consider it further, OFWs are the same. Since the dollar is higher, when they send money here, their relatives here get to have more. They have the ability to spend on some luxury items. They have the ability to be able to spend on things that are considered wants. The desire of every Filipino is to have a house. If you have OFWs who are earning a lot of money, and it's amplified further because the dollar is higher, and a lot of them may see this as an opportunity that I have more bang for my dollar, I'll send more and I'll use this opportunity to be able to buy the house that I want, the apartment that I want, or the condo that I actually want. So I believe that there will be segments in the population that will be buying houses, condos, or even cars right here, right now, in the midst of a high inflation environment, because by virtue of what their job is, or by virtue of them actually earning more based on this current scenario, they will be the ones that will have more than enough to have a surplus and actually spend more as well. What I'm actually trying to say is you have to be very selective. You have to analyze it that way, that you just don't roll the dice and just hope that the economy will get better, because at the end of the day, regardless of where the economy is, there will always be winners and there will always be losers. Your goal is to spend a lot of time to study, to figure out who are the winners and who are the losers, and deploy capital on those segments and sectors that you believe will actually win, and to not invest in the sectors and segments that you believe may be still hit in this era where we're in. And I just want to say this also, that the BPO industry is something that's very good, very strong, something that will do very, very well. If you look at it also, a lot of people are projecting that there may be a recession in the States, and when that happens, companies will find ways on how they can save money or cut costs. That will be very, very favorable to those who are in the BPO industry, because at the end of the day, when you outsource to the Philippines, you actually get to save more. You don't actually have to pay expensive labor that are in developed markets. And when you see more developed markets get hit, that will be an incentive for them to think about outsourcing, and that will benefit the Philippines very, very well. And in turn also, that will benefit the property developers that are listed in the stock market and the REITs that are connected to the BPO industry. Those are just some examples on how you can actually spin it, how you can actually analyze it, that in the midst of people being fearful, there's a lot of opportunity around. In the midst of people being scared, there's a lot of ways for you to actually find which are companies that are highly connected to the ones that money is flowing their way still, even in the scenario where we are right now. Please do remember this before I put this to a close. At the height of the pandemic, Converge was doing well. At the height of the pandemic, Globe was doing well. At the height of the pandemic, PLDT was doing well. In the same way, Amazon was doing well, Google was doing well, Microsoft was doing well, and so much more. When the Fed tightens its monetary policy, lesser money moving around, that could actually mean that prices could actually drop. But if you're looking at it from a long-term scenario, when prices drop, go for the companies that are unaffected in terms of value, in terms of how they run their business, and when they drop, you could get opportunities to be able to spot them. You could find opportunities on how you can get them at a relatively cheaper price. As long as you have the conviction in them, hold them for a stretched period of time. If there's one thing I do know about economies and about markets, is they're just cyclical. The ones that drop are the ones that recover also later on. But the money is in what are you doing in the midst of the drop. Are you the one that has conviction, finding the ones that are superior, finding the ones that are doing well, and allocating capital in them. If you want to know more, links are in the description below. We have webinars, courses, seminars, books, hundreds of videos also available in YouTube for you guys to check out. If you want to invest also in the cryptocurrency market, we have brokerages down below that you can try. If you want to invest in the US stock market, we also have brokerages below that you can try as well. I hope that you guys got a lot from this. I hope that this was something that was insightful, give you value. And if you guys have questions, allow me to make videos for you to be able to answer the questions that you guys have sent out for. If you made it up until the end, appreciate it if you could like, share, subscribe, and smash the bell so you get updated every time I come up with new content about investing, and it helps the video get pushed by the YouTube algorithm even more. So that's it for now. Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.